So hey everyone, welcome to the channel, and as always, thanks for stopping by and hanging out for a few. My name is Rich, and today we're going to talk more about autonomous drone flight and 3D modeling and pulling some things together. Over the past couple weeks, we've been talking about autonomous drone flight, we've talked some about 3D modeling, we've talked about some of the software packages, and now I want to pull some of this together for you. All right, everybody, so welcome back. So over the past couple weeks, we've been talking about autonomous drone flight, doing 3D modeling, and just some of the cool things we can do. And right now I've got Agisoft's Metashape pulled up here, and you've probably already seen this one in a previous video, where I've got this cool little orbit of two homes that are currently under construction in Prescott Valley at the newest Granville development. And so this is really neat, and we can play around with this, we can refine this, we can even show, and this is one of the things that I've been wanting to show you. In a previous video I'd mentioned that I did a very simple orbit with Litchi. Now Litchi is one of many apps out there that will let you do autonomous drone flight, so you can set up waypoint missions, video missions, you can create 360 panos, or you can also use Litchi to make a rudimentary 3D model just flying around in two orbits. So these two orbits only took a couple of minutes, and in Metashape, I've just showed you where the cameras were. So this is actually where the drone was in relation to the homes as the drone flew around. Now that's pretty neat and pretty cool, and you could bring that to a construction group and say, hey, I can make some really neat models of your homes, but what does that do for us? Is that pulling anything together? Is that helping the construction companies that we want to work with in their overall projects? Now, doing these 3D models of individual homes or only of a couple of homes might be interesting to look at progression over time, but there are some other things that can come in that can really help sell you on working with a construction company. So talking about drone progression reports and the models that go along with them. So I'm going to go up here in Metashape, and we are going to get to something really cool shortly, so hang in there with me. So yesterday, April 28th, I went out and I did a larger flight with the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. And what you're seeing here is actually this new construction site with new homes going in. Right over here, these two homes are the homes I did the orbit of. And so that's pretty interesting. And then we also can see our elevation, the changes in our elevation here. So these houses are built up on a higher area, and we have some ideas about where runoff might be going. And with that said, I'm going to flip screens here. So we're looking at the Metashape screen, but I'm going to go down to my preview screen because I want to show you this. I did a couple of screen captures as well of this model and actually ran it through Agisoft's Pro version. So I broke out my old big Windows machine, and I'm going to start using that for my modeling going forward because that machine's got a little more power behind it. It still took a long time to assemble this model, but what's really slick here, in Agisoft's Pro version, you can export Ortho Mosaics, and you can also export digital elevation models. So we're looking at these homes here. We know that we've got this drop off here, and let's pull up the digital elevation model version. Do you see where the water's probably going to be flowing during monsoon season? Because I sure do. So the digital elevation modeling can go a long way to helping construction groups that you're working with, just to show them very quickly and visually, here's where the height of land is, here's where the lower points of land are. And so from this height of land here, I'm figuring drainage will be going down this way, and they've got the culvert right down there. Let's move back over, and you can actually see. So this is going under the road. So we know where the washes are going to be, and the digital elevation models really help demonstrate that. So it gives people a great idea as they're planning and building the projects if they need to rethink about, where water runoff is going to be going. Because here in Arizona, one of the big things is monsoon season. Most of the year, we don't see a lot of rain, but during monsoon season, we sure do. And we find out quickly if folks had planned things properly or not when it comes to water runoff. When I used to have a business in downtown Prescott, Arizona, during the monsoon season, I always joked that I could kayak in the street next to my business because there was so much water flow. So I could only imagine that digital elevation model. So this particular model, let me grab my iPad here. And this particular model was put together yesterday. I actually went out and flew it early in the morning. And let's pull up Ground Station Pro here, and you'll be seeing Ground Station Pro on the screen. But in Ground Station Pro, I set up a new model. So I'm just jumping in there, and you're already seeing the model. So my Granville large map. And so this right here, you'll see a screenshot of it, is the map that I set up. Oh, nope, it's this one. There we go. That's the correct one. I've been doing several tests, if you can't tell. There are a lot of names on the left-hand side of this. So anyways, this is the model that I flew. I'm going to go into hit edit really quick, and we're going to show you the edited information. So the coverage area here was 33.2 acres. And let's see here. Approximately 374 photos, according to Ground Station Pro. One battery, 15 minutes of flight, and that was pretty much spot on. So in the end, when I came back with this, this information got loaded into Agisoft's Metashape, and then I proceeded to wait and wait and wait and wait. It took hours to develop this one. So doing this digital elevation model is not a short, quick thing, and the more images and the more coverage that you're getting, the longer that it's going to take. So you really do need an appropriate machine for building these types of models. All right, I'm going to minimize this, and then we'll look back here in Metashape. So pretty interesting model. We can actually look around the model. One of the things I will say, I don't advise doing what I did yesterday. And what I did yesterday was I went out early in the morning to fly this, and you can see all of the huge shadows here. So shadows here and shadows here, and all of the other homes also have a lot of shadowing as well. It's because I did this early in the morning because we were expecting strong winds in the afternoon, and I wanted to do this model to share it with you. So normally I would suggest doing models midday to minimize the shadows if you're trying to get a really good 3D effect as well. Now, this was a very, very simple model, and I was doing it more for an Ortho Mosaic, so a 2D model. I wasn't really thinking heavily about a 3D model, because if I was doing a 3D model, I would be doing a crosshatch. So I'd be doing north, south, east, and west. Now, we can put this into more context. So what else can we do other than show these cool 3D models and provide point clouds to construction groups? When we pass those point clouds off, they can bring that information to their survey engineers and their architects. And those folks, if you do a high enough quality model, they can actually utilize the data that you've collected. Now, number one, as a drone pilot, we are not licensed land surveyors. So I want to really stress that to you. Don't ever try to sell people on that. Hey, it's really accurate. Hey, it's GPS accurate. That's great. We know what we're doing. We know how to build these models, but that does not make us a licensed land surveyor, and we do not take the place of a licensed land surveyor. We can, however, pass our data along to them, work directly with licensed land surveyors, and then they can take the data that we've gathered and they can take it further. Now, the next thing I want to show you, I'm just going to minimize that, and we're going to run down to my screen here, and we're going to grab Google Earth, because this is what I found just really interesting and compelling. And so there's a lot of reason behind building these 3D models. So it's not just a gee whiz factor. We can actually do a heck of a lot for customers. So this is Google Earth, and I'm just going to click on this one right here. I'm just zooming us down to that construction site because this is really compelling to me. And here we go. This is actually the construction area that I was flying, and I'm just going to rotate this a little bit. And as you can see on Google Earth today, it has nothing. There's no information here. There's no construction going on because Google Earth, the satellites only take so many pictures at a time over time. So how do we really visualize this project area? Well, with several flights that I've done recently, I've gone beyond just visualizing it. So I'm going to click this Ortho Mosaic on here. So I actually imported an Ortho Mosaic from Agisoft's Metashape, and you might recognize these two homes from our orbit that I showed you before. This was not an orbit. This was a very quick flight over with Ground Station Pro. I think there was under 50 images in total. It was just me doing a quick test 2 weeks ago, as a matter of fact. And down there, you can actually see my shadow, and you can see my helipad. All right, so that kind of fills in some questions right there. It says, oh, you know, there is something being built here. I'm going to go ahead and turn that one off, and I'm going to turn this one on because this was a bigger pass that I did on Saturday, the 27th. I also did not do high resolution on it at all, and so this is mostly looking like a point cloud. So still not super compelling, but it's filling in that area. So now we're getting an idea. Something is going on in here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that one off. And I'm going to turn the runoff one on. So this was another one that I did where I wanted to see where the runoff would be going and making some digital elevation models afterward. I'm going to turn both of these off here. Now I can layer these on Google Earth, which is really cool. And so now I want you to look at my April 28th GeoTIFF resized, and I'm going to turn that one on. Whoa, check that out. So that's the model that I was just showing you a few moments ago. And in the case of this model, we can now see there's a road coming in through here. And if I turn on my other one, so that's an overlay of another one of mine. So you can actually overlay multiple GeoTIFFs or multiple KML files. So I also used a KML file. And I could even turn on just my little orbit area. So if we zoom in here, we can see the homes that were orbited, and I can actually turn those back off. And so we've got pretty good layering going on there. Now, once again, all the data collected, we can't interpret that, but we can hand that data off to a licensed land surveyor who can take this point cloud information and verify its accuracy and then utilize it in larger maps going forward. So in total, I actually flew this upper area and I flew the lower area as well. The lower area was actually shot with the Mavic Pro, not the Mavic 2 Pro. So this is with my old Mavic Pro, very spot on as far as where it's layering. And we can even take a zoom in and we can see, you know, the roadside area here is overlapping pretty well. So even though I was doing low resolution modeling, I was not gathering all the data points. I was doing this to be a little faster. It's looking pretty accurate, but once again, we can't say that it's perfect or anything until we pass this through a licensed land surveyor. But so bottom line here, the autonomous drone flight, being able to do these grid patterns, being able to have the drone repeat a process over and over again, can really bring a lot of great information to potential construction customers if that's the direction you're looking to go in. You're going to need a higher end computer, of course, to do these models. And then you're going to need one of these higher end software packages as well. So you could use a drone deploy or a Pix4D or a Metashape, you know, whichever it is that you would like to use, but you have to remember there's going to be some major costs involved between having a higher end machine to process these 3D models and these 2D models. And it's going to be a dedicated machine. So trying to do this work on my Apple is nearly impossible. I can do some cute little models like we've been doing and I've been sharing with you. So we can have these neat models, but this particular model, there's no context for it. You know, we're not matching it up against where they're actually doing the building. And so that's where the higher end modeling software like Metashape or Pix4D comes in, because then we can output things to KML files, we can output things to GeoTIFFs, and the lower end versions of these softwares do not allow you to do that. Don't go spending a ton of money on the software packages until you've actually got some clients who are going to help you pay for that software. Because between the software and a decent computer, you know, if you're really going to dive into this and you want to do construction work, you're probably looking at over a $10,000 investment between the machine and the software licensing. So in the meantime, you can still make models with the lower end versions, so with Pix4D's Discovery or with Agisoft's Metashape Standard Edition, which is what we're looking at right now on my Mac. Now, I have the Pro Edition loaded onto my Windows machine because I'm doing the 30-day trial on the Pro Edition for the Windows system because I've never tested that one out. So I went ahead and bought Metashape Standard because it was such a reasonable price, but now I'm giving myself the full month that Metashape has, and so I'll be producing some larger models for you over the next couple of weeks since I have access to that software. And if things go right, I'll be making a purchase at the end of the trial period. So when I'm done with this video, I actually have to send off 2 different emails to one large construction group and one small construction group who wants to talk about actually doing some of this modeling and doing some of the digital elevation modeling and collecting data for them and handing the data over to their construction group. So cross your fingers. Pretty excited that I've got two new possibilities. And so I've got a little more work to do on the website. If you want to stop by azdrone.net, you can see what I've been doing under the construction heading for new marketing material for potential clients, because that is also part of this if you're doing this drone work. You've got to remember that you're your own marketing department as well. All right, everyone. So I hope this puts this in context. We've been playing with 3D models. We've been playing with autonomous drone flight. We've been using these apps. And the big question is, so what are you getting to, Rich? What's our end goal? Our end goal is collecting up new clients and flying every single day for clients. So I want to see my drone up in the air 5 or 6 days a week, and I want to be doing multiple projects. And one of the personal projects that I have for myself now, because of how well this came out on the Google Earth here, I would like to complete this entire empty area, because this is not an empty area any longer. Up in this area, there are new homes. Over here on the right-hand side, there are homes being constructed. So I've got a lot more flying to do, and it's not going to be today because we're having bad weather today. Also remember that we're always weather contingent. So as I'm filling in this Google Earth map, I'm probably going to be doing this for 2D models only and not thinking about 3D models. And I'm just going to be expanding this out. And most likely I will be shooting these early in the morning on the weekends. So we're going to have that shadowing problem. But it still gives a really good bird's eye view to your potential clients and to your clients, filling in the areas that are shown to be raw land on Google Earth today, but are no longer raw land because they're actually under construction. So we might see the final version of this pop up with Google in months or years. But in the meantime, we can hand a very, very accurate model to potential customers. Well, I shouldn't say very accurate. It's going to be a really good overlay to Google Earth. And then as far as the accuracy, we'll leave that to the land survey engineers. And they can let us know how the point clouds are working for them and if we need to adjust anything or if we're off. But as you can see in this layering here, I think you'll agree with me that this this overlay did a very nice job filling in on those contours. And yeah, there we go. Take a look at that. And by the way, if you see these little holes in the mesh, I need to go back and rerun the model to fill those holes in. So there was a couple of points where there was a little bit of wind, and I just need to fill these holes in here in Metashape. And you can do the same thing in Pix4D as well. Finally, just one other thing. The upload services, the folks who offer upload services like Drone Deploy and Map Pilot, you don't get to go in and tweak your point clouds afterward. You don't get to go in and fill the holes. So I've had several people say, well, I'd like to use Drone Deploy or the others, and that's fine, and they do work, and they can provide you a lot of information that you can hand over to clients. But if you need to get in and fine-tune the models, those upload sites aren't really going to help you with that. The desktop versions of the different software packages out there are going to help you with that. And those desktop versions would be Pix4D and would be Agisoft's Metashape Pro. So take a look into those. And I hope you're having fun flying too. And I hope that this one was interesting to you, because I was very excited to share this with you, going from raw land to actual construction and what's going on in there. And then finally, the last thing that was really exciting is getting to show off this digital elevation model that's associated with that model there. And it really gives you a feel. We've got high ground here, during monsoon season, we'll probably see runoff coming down here, and we can see the very lowest areas in here. So this is going to be a big wash, and that wash also goes underneath the highway on the right-hand side here. All right, everyone, have an awesome day. I hope this one was really interesting and informative and that you learned something from it. And by all means, please leave me comments and questions, and we can go back through and touch on more of these items. But I think it's pretty cool, and I hope you agree with that and found this one interesting. We'll see you on the next video. Have an amazing day.